In an unexpected turn of events, one of the most surprising beefs to come out of the NBA season is that between Kyle Kuzma and Spencer Dinwiddie. So basically the background to this, it came off the back of the comments when the Wizards beat the Mavericks 127 to 126 on January 24th, which was before Dinwiddie was traded to the Brooklyn Nets. Dinwiddie registered 20 points and 8 assists in that game, but the Mavs didn't win, and he wasn't happy with it. He expressed his displeasure by making a comment about the Wizards during the post-game press conference. "They're not playing for nothing for real. For them, it's a showcase," Dinwiddie said. "They're over there trying to get paid, not trying to play winning basketball." Kuzma was not a fan of what Dinwiddie said, so he replied on Twitter, "The funny thing is, they don't play winning basketball," Kuzma wrote, in quotation marks, with a laughing emoji. Dinwiddie then went on Run It Back with Michelle Beadle on FanDuel TV. Dinwiddie was asked about his long-standing beef with Kuzma, and he didn't hold back. "I wanted to respond," Dinwiddie said, referring to Kuzma's tweet from a few months back. "My agent told me to stand down, that we had bigger fish to fry, things to do, get to the playoffs, etc. Now I'm not in that environment. I'm in the playoffs, he's not." What's that thing Draymond just said? Insecurity is loud. He even quoted Draymond about that, which was so funny in my opinion. Dinwiddie got traded back to Brooklyn, a team he played for from 2016 to 2021, in February. The Nets clinched playoffs on April 7th after a 101-84 win over the Orlando Magic. Meanwhile, Kuzma and the Wizards were eliminated after losing to the Knicks on April 2nd. But this wasn't just about making the playoffs. Dinwiddie also questioned the way Kuzma approaches basketball. "You know that you're shooting shots just to try to get a contract. You're probably not even a third star when you're on a good team, because if you were, the Lakers would have kept you. Part of the reason you left is to make more money. These are all things, these are all facts. In DC, if you've got three max dudes, Porzingis, Beal, and Kuzma, how do you miss the playoffs? None of these things make sense unless your priorities aren't in order." Dinwiddie made other statements in the interview, and Kuzma certainly watched. Kuz replied in a Twitter thread and didn't hold back with a barrage of tweets. He started off with 1. "Insecurity is loud, ? The Wizards and I have so much real estate on Din Shitty Island. This guy got signed by a team 60 million and was traded for 60 M's and was traded before the following season was over. 2. What in the world have you won in this league? Lol. You've been bounced around like a basketball, my boy. 3. You can thank KD and Kyrie and them for spearheading 3. You can thank KD and Kyrie and them for spearheading 34 wins before the All-Star break, 11 and 13 after the break for your playoffs. 4. Second option? More like second point guard. Lol. My man, I watched you for 2 months at the end of your Wizards tenure. Being the second option, averaged 8, 4, and 4. Sounds good, but glad you're hooping now. 5. And yep, I got a bag coming. Stop hating, lol. And last but not least, 6. The only way you'll be ever worth your contract is if the NBA finally gives you your wish of getting paid in crypto. Check the markets. All going downhill. Enjoy the clicks. Go at Sixers. Kuzma is expected to decline his $13 million player option to test the waters as a free agent this summer. Dinwiddie also stated, "At the end of my career, one thing I want to be known for, besides being the guy that did whatever it took to win in whatever spot he was at, is a guy that was always very honest. I know on a championship team, I'm probably the third guy. Kind of like a Drew Holiday with a Chris Middleton and, Giannis or whatever. I'm very secure with who I am in my career. I know when I'm on a really good team, I can be a number 2, kind of like I'm right here with the Brooklyn Nets. We got Mikal, we got me. We're still a playoff team. We're able to keep the ship right." Oh, God. So, with all that being said, with all of that turn of events that took place, what are your thoughts, and who do you think is right in this situation? Dinwiddie or Kuzma? Would love to hear what you have to say, and I can't wait to rebut to this.
It's honestly hilarious. Like, you listen out all those tweets, have got me dying. I'm not really... Okay, here's my stance on it. DC, like you said, 3 max dudes, Bradley Beal, Kristaps, Kyle Kuzma. It makes no sense why they missed the playoffs. I understand where he's coming from, but I want to make my point clear. This is where we draw the line between, I guess, you got your max or your first, second, third option, whatever. Get that out. Whatever you label it, people say stars, superstars. I don't care. Everyone who isn't that guy on a team, so if you're Giannis, if you're a Chris Middleton or a Drew Holiday, great. They accept their roles. They're not that guy. You know what I mean? They're not that first guy. there to complement the star. So essentially, this has got to sound really out of whack, but you are the definition of a role player. Like, that's what you are. You're there to fulfill a role and help that number one option do. You have to complement them as much as you possibly can in order to win, because you have to make sacrifice because you're not that number one guy. And that's something I don't think Kyle Kuzma does to a full level. I know he's a great basketball player. He's played at my team as well, the Lakers. He obviously has upside and huge potential. But I feel like Kyle Kuzma I agree with what Dinwiddie's saying in. He kind of shoots the gym out. Like, he's shooting 18 shots a game. And some of these shots he shouldn't be shooting when you could be focusing on making the playoffs. But on Dinwiddie's perspective, he said he's a third guy on a championship team. Like, maybe he is, maybe he isn't. But to compare yourself to a guy like Drew Holiday, get out of here. Like, you're not that guy. Like, I don't know if you were ever that guy. Like, I understand you can serve as a scoring option, but you're not giving what Drew Holiday brings to the table as a playmaker and on the defensive end. As an overall basketball player, Spencer Dinwiddie, he's someone who's come from the G League, and I admire his career as a whole. But he's never been a second option. Like, you're not even the second option now. I look at the Brooklyn Nets. Let me think. If I'm the Brooklyn Nets and I'm thinking future, I'm thinking Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, Cam Thomas, Nick Claxton, and then Spencer Dinwiddie. Like, you're someone who gets bounced around the league. So I don't understand where he's coming from on that perspective. Like, at the end of the day, if people aren't looking at you and thinking you're our third guy on a championship team, we're gonna put time into you and not trade you away like Dallas did, like Brooklyn did the first time, and like I guess the Wizards have done. Even if he requested a trade, they shipped this guy around the league. So for him to be this petty, it's kind of unbelievable. But yeah, that's my 2 cents. If both of these guys are there to play a role, take a back seat to your number one option, bow down, and just play your role. Accept who you are. You don't need to be going out here in the media tweeting this and that, even though it's entertaining and funny. I just find it very stupid.
Yeah, so I'm not going to be on either player's side here, in my opinion. So they're both wrong in separate ways, in different kinds of ways. So firstly, Kyle Kuzma, I think what he did, yes, he was trying to defend himself and defend his obviously reputation and everything like that, but I kind of feel like he's shown his immaturity a little bit in this side of things with this whole barrage. Yes, it's funny, like you said, and yes, I think it's something that, you know, you can have a laugh at, and it provided a bit of entertainment and a bit of a, you know, a comedic appeal to it. But again, when you sort of see how you're behaving and you want to try and get paid and expect to help lead a team to a playoffs appearance and everything like that, and claiming that, you know, you helped win a championship, yeah, you did play a role, but the reason why they shipped you out was because your production was going down in the first place, and you were getting too distracted with the Hollywood lifestyle, the lavish, you know, vibes that you were living in Los Angeles with all the celebs, and, you know, spending too much time focusing on your personal brand off the court than you were about your performance on the court. See, which obviously showed as soon as he got traded out, away from any distractions, away from all this, the glitz and glamour. He went to Washington, D.C., not a very appealing place for free agents, not a very appealing place to be in. But he's obviously performed. Yes, obviously, they haven't made the playoffs, and we're in a bit of no man's land. Obviously, I'm a Wizards fan, but we're in a bit of no man's land there. But you can't expect... You got a guy like Bradley Beal, you got a guy like Porzingis, who has more upside than Kuzma. They're the same age. In my opinion, I believe that Porzingis deserves more of the ball and more shots than Kuzma does. I don't know what world Kuzma deserves to be shooting the ball 18, 20 times. Yes, great. He could be 15 of 21 game. The next game he could go 7 of 20, 6 of 20. Like, you know, the inconsistencies and the lulls in his performance are not good enough. Yes, he can average 20 and be a very effective player in this league, and I'm not taking away anything from him. I think he's a really good player.
So do I.
But I don't think he contributes to winning basketball unless he's willing to sacrifice in his role. And for him to blatantly admit, like you said, that he's shot chucking to get a bag and that a bag's coming his way, it's kind of a bit, I don't know, it comes off a bit arrogant, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that side of it I didn't really like. And even like to the point where, you know, he was dyeing his hair, and I know Sohan does it, but he was doing it like, I don't know, he's trying to like say like the lights are on me. It's like that kid, like, I want all the attention, me, you know what I mean? It kind of just brings off that kind of a vibe. Yeah, correct. And then to go on to Dinwiddie's side of things, I mean, he did the right thing, obviously keeping quiet about it, but I think obviously then him to come out onto this podcast or to this show on FanDuel and even just go back and forth with Kuzma on this, I think it was a bit silly. And then for him to make that comment, like you said, he's kind of like a Drew Holiday or a Chris Middleton. I mean, I don't know whether he's comparing himself directly to their skill levels, more so saying that he's a complementary piece. But even then, like you said, the only reason he's a complementary piece was because KD, Kyrie, James Harden were all off that team now. He wouldn't have even been a sixth option on that team if they were back all together playing in that big three was still around with the Brooklyn Nets. So for him to say that he's a number 2 guy at the moment, and he's like, we got me, like that's a bit out of pocket for him to say as well. So I don't agree with that side of it, in my opinion. And in saying that, I still respect Spencer Dinwiddie's progress that he made. He was overshadowed, he was overlooked, he's had injuries. He's still managed to battle back from them. He's hit some big shots in big moments. He's stepped up in crucial situations. You know, he's had some big time performances. But again, he's definitely not on the level of those 2 guys, championship winning guys who've obviously won a title. He's like, he goes, I know on a championship team, I'm probably the 3rd guy. Like, you haven't won a championship. So how can you even say that? How can you even put yourself in that position, in that situation? So I think this whole beef is just very stupid. Yes, Kuzma is going to get paid because that's just how the NBA is going. But I just think that both sides should just keep the peace. Yes, I like the beef. Like I said, I like this people not liking each other in the NBA, especially the Dylan Brooks thing. I think, you know, he does it because he genuinely doesn't like anyone. He wants to be proud to be a Memphis Grizzly and to support all these brothers on that team. But I feel like this is just petty. You know what I mean? This isn't even really like doing it for no particular reason, you know what I mean? So I don't know, I guess they both wanted to stand their ground. They both got I guess their character and their honor to sort of protect, but at the same time I just think it's just very pointless and very silly, and it just came out of nowhere, to be honest. You know, the last people you'd expect to have beef in the NBA are Kuzma and Dinwiddie. So but yeah, it's a tough one, and I think Kuzma's probably got a lot of pressure on him now because he's put those comments out there. He's saying, I've got to get the bag and all this. Now, if you do get paid in the free agency in the off-season, which you're likely going to get, the pressure's on you to perform now. You know what I mean? Once you get that big deal in the free agents market, you got to start living up to it. Because, yes, you might put up empty stats, but is it going to contribute to winning basketball? And personally, I kind of feel like I don't want him on the Wizards. I would rather us just do a straight out rebuild. Yes, he offered a little bit during the year and he helped us since the start of the season, but then he sort of faded out. And I think you really need to build around Porzingis, build around the young guys, the young core, Denny Avdia, give him more touches of the ball. I feel like with guys like Kuzma, with guys like Porzingis, Beal, there's not really many shots, and then people are wondering, well, Denny's not aggressive enough, or Denny doesn't have enough of the ball. Well, it's a bit hard when you've got shot chucker Kuzma, you've got a guy like Porzingis who loves to shoot the basketball. Obviously, you give him the license, you give him the green light because he's a really good player. And obviously, Bradley Beal, we know what he's done. Obviously, he's had a bit of a drop-off. He averaged 30 a few years ago. He's averaging 23 in the past 2 seasons. So it's a big drop-off that he's had, and I feel like he's maybe content that he's got a big contract and he just sort of like, oh well, you know, if I don't make the playoffs, big whoop, you know what I mean? Whether that's his mentality or not, I know that I can't speak for him and I don't know him personally, so I don't know whether that's his mentality. Obviously, everyone who goes out to the NBA wants to keep their job, wants to win games of basketball, but just with the whole situation, I really hope that they build around Denny Avdia because I see a lot of potential, especially in the back part of the year, what he was doing when he was that point forward kind of role. He's got defensive attributes on that side of the ball that I think are really, really hard to teach. And I think he's got to assert himself, be more aggressive, And I think by having guys who don't put up as many shots or have less guys who are wanting to just focus on getting theirs and not worrying about what's important for the team, I think that'll help Denny flourish. And I think, honestly, we need to try and find our identity as a team at the Wizards. So, again, petty on both ends. To summarise, I think it's not doing any of them a favour, especially Dinwiddie. It's putting unnecessary and unwarranted attention on him. Now, during the playoffs, the eyes are going to be on him. I think Kuzma's going to be all over it, especially if he doesn't have a good performance or he stinks it up. It's like these comments are going to come back to bite him in the ass. And with Kuzma, obviously, if you do get that big contract and you get a big-time offer in free agency, pressure's on you to deliver. And whether you stay around and the Wizards pay you, or whether you find a team that's willing to give you a big-time offer to go play for their organization, I feel like they're going to probably regret it, because all they're going to get is a guy that's looking to get his and he just wants all the attention and the notoriety of being that star or like a player in the NBA. Yeah. So that's my 2 cents. It's probably about 5 cents or $5 worth. But I thought I'd give it a bit more of a rundown, considering this does involve the team that I support. So yeah, we'll keep tabs of this over the next few weeks and see if anything escalates from it. But it'd be interesting. I'm really looking forward to seeing them continue to beef at it, but at the same time, I'd ideally just want them to just focus on basketball, you know?
Yeah. No, I love that from you as a Wizards fan, that passion just really coming out. But I wonder do you reckon Wizards are willing to give Kyle Kuzma, I don't know if he wants the max or how, he probably does, but the contract that he wants, you reckon the Wizards would? Or are going to?
Well, I don't know how it'll work with the cap, because you've got Beal on about $50 million. Yeah. You've got Porzingis, who's on pretty big money as well.
But then who else is really...
We're lucky we've got some young guys, obviously still on rookie deals and still on, obviously, smaller
Danny's got to
deals,
eventually get
like
paid.
Kispert and Avdia. But, yeah, I'm not sure. I honestly don't think we should pay him. I think we can find another guy on the open market. I know it's going to be tough to attract him, but honestly, I don't even think he probably wants to stay at the Wizards. I think, obviously, he just sort of played it out because he got traded there, and obviously he wanted to improve or, build up his reputation after he got traded from the Lakers, because obviously I think he was down bad a little bit after that championship run, and he had a bit of that downturn in his performance, and I think he just came here to try and rectify his own character and to prove that he could still, or when given the opportunity, he could ball. But, like I said, anyone on a team that's not contending for playoffs can put up a bunch of shots.
Yeah, he takes like 8 threes a game, and for someone who doesn't really shoot awfully well, that's just ridiculous. Like 8 threes, he's just chucking them up. I really do think you guys should have been a playing team. Like, the talent's obviously there. You got Denny's, like, he's coming to his own to an extent, but like, you would love to see, like you said, get him some more shots. He's already a great defender in this league, but imagine how good he could be if given the keys and it was taken out of Bradley Beal and Kyle Kuzma's hands a bit. It's just so... 100%. I want to see the Wizards do well, man.
Yeah, I think we're always in that middle road. And I think, we always have good draft picks, or we're in a good position to draft, whether it's in the lottery or just after the lottery. And I think we make some questionable calls. I mean, the jury's still out on Corey Kispert. I think in his case, he broke his career high 3 straight games or 2 straight games, whatever it was. So there's obviously signs there, and he does make a lot of threes at a very good clip. But I think he just needs to start to add other facets to his game, because he's not really... That's what I'm saying. He's just a shooter. He's more in like that Joe Harris kind of mold. You know what I mean? He can pretty much just shoot, and he can't facilitate, or he doesn't have that ability to do so. So I think that was maybe a questionable pick, especially with considering what players were around at that time. And you look at a guy like Denny Avdia. We could have picked somebody else as well. But again, it almost doesn't even come down to the Wizards organization, or sorry, those players that we've drafted. It's more about the organization and how it's run, and the development from a player development standpoint. Is that what's hindering us developing talent? You know what I mean? Because it doesn't matter who we draft. I feel like even Johnny Davis, you look at that, like, a guy like that who was in his second year of college, he absolutely tore it up. And for him to come in and struggle in the NBA, I don't know whether it's just from a player personnel standpoint, who we have working at the Wizards, whether it doesn't work, or whether it's just guys, we just can't pick talent. You know what I mean? We just pick the wrong talent for our franchise. I think there's a lot of question marks about that going forward for the Wizards. And again, we're sort of going to see who we decide to pick in this draft, and whether it's another mistake or whether, you know, we pick somebody who is actually going to change the course of our franchise. Obviously, the pick for Bradley Beal and John Wall, they were home runs, regardless of how far we went. Yeah, but I think definitely. You look at guys like Jan Vesely, who they drafted, out of the league. You look at guys like Otto Porter Jr., who they drafted. Again, he barely spent any time in that team, and he struggled when he was obviously with us. I'm trying to think of other recent draft picks. Obviously, I think we drafted Kelly Oubre, which was a good pick, but again, he didn't really have the opportunity to flourish the way he did. You know what I mean? So I think it's because we were so focused on those two stars that we had at the time, which was Wall and Beal, we sort of maybe took away from the development of the other guys. But again, if we're going to go into rebuild mode, I feel like we just either go full rebuild or we don't stick to this middle ground, because I feel like every year we start the year off, it's promising. We start the year like 10-3, 10-4. It's like, oh, look, I think it's our year this year. And then we have this massive slump. We start to, you know, be disconnected as a team, and it just goes downhill from there. And then we have this late charge at the end of the year. Even when we had Westbrook, we had this late charge at the end of the year. We make the play-in, and then we don't get any further than that. Or we make the playoffs, and we just get swept. So it's like either rebuild and stay consistent with it and do a full clean out of the team, or try and find pieces that are going to help win games of basketball and not have guys that are just purely there to put points on the board. Because yes, offense is a certain part of the game, but it doesn't, you know, you looked at the Dallas Mavericks situation. That in itself, you need defenders, you need guys who are capable of helping the team win games of basketball. And if you've got two guys that don't really defend that well in Kyrie and Luka, and then you've got both of them just putting up shots, the other guys get cold, and then they don't know where their role really stands with the team, and that can obviously stagnate winning basketball. So, I mean, I could go on all day about this, but I'll cut it short. I'll leave it there, even though I didn't really cut it short. But maybe we do, you know, a video like this for every team in the league and sort of see where their situation's at, and we can sort of do a bit of a deep dive and see what they need next. And like, obviously we did a little bit of one there for the Wizards now, but I could go on and on about the Washington Wizards and where we've gone wrong in the past and what we need to do going forward. But obviously it's more about Kyle Kuzma and Dinwiddie in this situation, so we'll cut it there and we'll leave it at that. Yeah, no, I love this like type of video where it's just you just have a yarn off the top of the dome about what's just going on with a certain team, or a dynamic with teammates, or just random beef like this around the league. Last thing I have to say, Kyle Kuzma, you're 28 years of age. You've gone from the Lakers to the Wizards. You're probably not going to be that all-star, whatever you think all-NBA player you're going to be. Accept your role. Be a part of another championship team. Get out of this Hollywood mindset. And to Dinwiddie, you're a journeyman, so you just need to stop acting like a third option. I love your game, but look, to kind of just, I don't know if he meant it, but to say it's Mikal and me, there's so many guys on that roster that the Brooklyn Nets are looking at above you to be that second option. So maybe for these couple games you're the second option, but mate, they've shipped you off before, so yeah. That's all I have to say for this. That's a wrap from me. I really enjoyed this video. That's all I've got to say. I really enjoyed this one. This one was just like pure basketball talk off the top of the dome. You know, just straight out, just spitting whatever comes to mind, you know? Yeah, this was so good. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed, make sure to leave a sub, leave a like, show us some love in the comment section below, because we'd appreciate that. And tell us that you're here. Just literally say, I'm here, I watched the video. That would mean the world to us.
We're posting daily on this channel, so you got to want to stay tuned for that. But for now, I'm Marcus.
I'm Danko, and again, show us that love, support. We do this every day. We're out here grinding. We want to really make you guys enjoy our content, and we want to put it out to you so that you can enjoy it as much as we enjoy making it. So obviously any support will be beneficial to us, and if you enjoyed the video, give it a like, give us a comment, make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you for the next video, guys. Stay safe. Peace out.
Road to 1 billion.